So anyway,
Where not hearing from Steven at this point is I'm not gonna say concerning. But
well,
he's gonna have some good stories at the end of
he's
all
always
of
got
this.
some good stories. It's never fun when you're having to stay late to work on a problem, especially with the team member that he's with who's phenomenal. But this is definitely he needs the industrial sized weed whacker to get through this.
Oh, industrial sized weed whacker or napalm?
Ooh, let's just go ahead and take a Black Hawk and turn it upside down and just send it. That would be the easiest way.
So okay, so with the current technology, would it be a Black Hawk turned upside down, or would it be an Osprey in full flight mode?
Ooh, which one would be more efficient?
Oh, the Osprey.
Let's go with that.
Osprey would. I mean, unless anyone wants to dispute that, I would think two huge blade or 6 blades would be more efficient, going faster than 3, 4. maybe.
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
Literally cutting down weeds. Literally cutting that. That's what we're saying.
You said in full flight mode, and I was just like, in full flight mode. And I'm just imagining the VTOL as it's going VTOL. I'm like, what are we doing? Cutting clouds?
A VTOL and Osprey are two different.
The vertical takeoff and landing.
Yes.
While the Osprey is in VTOL mode.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was.
I got it.
God.
Okay, we just heard from him.
Oh, he's alive?
And he's heading this way.
Oh, awesome. Whose phone is still?
It wasn't me that time.
It wasn't me either. Mine's under my leg, so it wouldn't have been picked up on the microphone.
Mine probably buzzed, but let me.
Was it your watch?
Oh, yeah. Actually, it was probably my watch because my hand was right here.
He had one job, one absolute job. Okay, Steven's on his way.
I've done my job.
Hit the button.
Which button?
Start the show.
God.
There's a lot of buttons.
B button.
We already hit the main button. The most important button is already hit.
I've already had to start and stop it. So one time. I might have had to have done that again. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It actually is kind of warm in here, so maybe we should turn the fan on. Welcome to the Hostility Morning Podcast. I'm your host, John, joined here today by
Nathan.
Matthew.
Ian. Crickets.
We're gonna have a
forgot.
moment of silence for our dear buddy.
He's running a little behind today. They ended up running into a small server issue that had to get corrected before Mr. Editor-in-Chief Steven could arrive. So he was given a new title as well. Instead of just being, in charge of stuff and things, he's now an editor-in-chief, so you're welcome.
Not just an editor-in-chief.
He's the editor-in-chief.
So if you really like it, thank Steven. If you really hate the audio on this, blame Steven.
Always. It's all, again, any issues that you hear on this show, it's either Steven's fault or it's Steven's fault.
So, point of order, because he's not here, but he's on his way here. If we get to section 2, which I highly expect we will, once we get to section 2, before he gets here, we'll go back to section 1 and let him say his piece.
I want him to be fully blindsided by all of this. I want us to be in mid-heated argument when he walks through that door and have absolutely no idea what's happening during any of this and just fully expect him to jump right in and figure it out.
Yep. Before we start the rest of the topics, I think we each need to, on the record, put our bets in on what he's gonna say when he first sits down and gets to the microphone.
Oh, he's gonna do his kind of meandering, mumbling, heavy sighs. He sits down and then does his all right, and then he starts doing his thing.
You're all forgetting about the chaos that's gonna unfold when he walks in the door because Scout's sitting right outside the studio door.
That is true.
Scout comes in, knocks over the mic stand, hits John's ThinkPad. I mean, it's all over from there.
Well, we had a good running.
I mean,
Ah.
it could be like a Gutenberg machine where he hits the mic stand. The mic stand hits the
Gutenberg?
or no. What, it starts with an R.
Rube Goldberg.
Rube
Yes.
Goldberg machine. Yeah, he hits the mic
Same
stand.
thing.
The mic stand hits John's ThinkPad. John's ThinkPad somehow knocks the microphone over. The microphone knocks the water glass in Nathan's MacBook, and then it's just like fire and chaos and
Yeah, how we destroy like
Yeah.
$1,000 worth of equipment in like 2 minutes.
just Scout's tail.
Oh, that's 5 seconds, dude.
Yeah, well, listen, there's some panic that's gonna happen in there. People gonna be shaking off their machines. Like it's gonna take a moment.
just a couple bags of rice. We're
Yeah.
fine.
It'll be fine.
We should have Steven pick up some rice on his way.
My
Oh.
bet is Steven says something about Teams in dark mode. That's gonna be it. He's gonna sit down. He's gonna open his laptop. Why is it Teams in dark mode?
Yeah. No, that's accurate. Speaking of, rice and dark mode,
Yeah. Okay.
sir, you have to be educated today.
Yep.
How old are you?
Old enough to actually not to have to care about this.
But old enough that you should already know what this is.
One could argue
Can
that.
you please explain to the audience what we're having to dad-splain to you?
So I have been able to successfully avoid, and I maintain I can still successfully avoid, but I am making the choice, the conscious decision to learn this topic. The topic is what on earth or what under the earth, depending on your opinion of it, is Reddit. So I would like it if each one of you would explain. Now, you all as a group can explain what Reddit is basically on the technical side, but then also, what do you all actually use this thing for?
Reddit is social media for people that hate social media.
How accurate is that, everybody else?
It's a giant forum.
It's an echo chamber. It all depends on
But
what
I mean-
you want echoed.
Name a single platform that's not an echo chamber.
So is Reddit a
That's a fair point.
is it anonymous, user ID driven? Is it typically
It is
exists with people that by their real names?
so yes and no. It's driven by usernames. You can't obviously use your own name. I would highly recommend not doing that on that platform. There are some very vindictive people on there, so that's not a good choice. What Reddit is the one of the most single place of depressed scum and villainy. I can't say the word right. Get over it. In one specific section of the internet. It's been touted as the front page of the internet, which in some ways it's true, of just multiple different topic and message boards all come together around anything that you want to know in one place. So this can come from entertainment, it can come from technology or news sources, or it can even come down to a very, very niche thing where if you just like the Gen 1 Apple Pencil tip, I can almost guarantee there is a subreddit or a subreddit out there only discussing that.
What's a subreddit?
A subreddit is literally just a topic-based message board. It chooses one or at least a broad single topic that everyone has to follow strict or sometimes loose guidelines that the moderator set.
Is this how loose are the moderators? Does it vary wide? Actually, let me rephrase that. How loose is the platform itself?
It's very dependent on the subreddit, honestly.
Yes, very dependent on the subreddit, very dependent on the moderators, and it also is very dependent on when Reddit itself chooses to come in, because you have to remember, Reddit boards are typically community moderated, or they are employees, big quotes, from Reddit. A lot of the moderators are actually unpaid, we found out, but are still actually under the Reddit banner. So you can make a subreddit right now and start posting to it and be the only moderator, and that's your board. That you own that. Or you can go into the Reddit default subreddits, and those ones are typically self-moderated by people that were appointed as moderators and Reddit moderated. So it really depends on what side of it you hop onto.
Would it be accurate to say that if an employee of Reddit gets involved, is probably either copyright infringement or really, really bad.
Neither.
Really?
It can be literally about anything. A Reddit employee can go and browse and join and be a part of the community just as much any other standard user Redditor would be, or they can be as much of the fist of God in that subreddit as much as they want. It's very kind of the Wild West, but it's a tamed Wild West. It's not like anything that happens on 4chan or 8chan or any of those types of message board sites. This is very much a stricter guidelines, but the guidelines are more loosely followed depending on which community you're actually in. So it's kind of hard to explain without really seeing it for yourself or experiencing it over the years. Reddit kind of went from when I joined back in 2012. It was much more heavy focused as any other messaging board you've ever been on, like, I don't know, like the LTT forums, or I can't even think of.
Path of Exile forums.
Oh,
That's
good
the
lord.
only other forums that I can like really say that I've ever used.
I was on some like the Yahoo questions message boards like years and years ago, which was always just hilarious on those fronts. Or the old AOL topic boards, which again, that is really starting to date myself a little bit on here.
I mean, at its core, Reddit is a forum of forums.
Correct. It is all community driven, and it's tailored to specific community focuses. But that also is dependent upon which community you're in. So that can differ from, say, like, even if you go look at game, like R Gaming is completely different from R Games, or from PC Master Race versus like PC Gaming, or if you go under like any of the political side of it, it is very vast. And again, you can go from like, when I call it the clean side of Reddit, to the kind of dark web version of Reddit, where you can find subgroups of some of the most weird or deprived, outcast individuals on there posting what you would think they would post. Or you can be on there and it's like, literally, you can go on iBleach and it's the cutest things you've ever seen. And it's like the nicest community you've ever been a part of. It all dependent upon where you choose to put yourself.
For some additional context for the people that don't know, because I know Nathan doesn't, r/iBleach is typically like cat pictures.
Yeah. It is
That's what
for,
that's for.
when you are viewing all the deprived stuff that Reddit has to offer, and you need just a breath of fresh air, a palate cleanser, you go to iBleach.
Okay. I don't know. Okay. Calling it bleach sounds a little
It's
reverse, but okay.
It sanitizes what you saw.
Okay.
It's that little breath of fresh air of dopamine that you need to just make sure you didn't completely lose all hope on humanity.
How about you, Ian? Do you ever use it?
I hate Reddit.
Yeah, but you're an X user.
I only use X for general unfiltered news.
And that's partially how I use Reddit. I don't use X. Honestly, it's mostly because I absolutely hate the UI of X. It's completely bonkers to me how it got so popular. The original, where it was just the simple tweet square, which you had the tweet, then you had a few comments, and then you were able to easily scroll and swipe through. Now on X, and again, this was even before Twitter became X, I had this issue. It's very bloated. The UI and the feel of it overall is very bloated. And it's harder to navigate, especially now since you have who you follow on your, so you have your standard homepage, and then you have the For You homepage, and they're completely different. Yet it's still centered around information that you either follow or X thinks you follow.
So on Reddit, if I'm looking for something, are they called, what are the different divisions called? Are they channels? Are they threads? What are they?
Subreddits.
So you go into a subreddit, and then if you're like, say you're having an issue with your MacBook there, you can go to our Apple or our MacBook, which are subreddits, and then in there are posts, which you can go and search for, like, say, your keyboard is not working on there. So you go to our Apple, you search in, like, your M1 MacBook Air keyboard issues, and then it'll only search that subreddit for every topic that has that type of subject matter in that line that meets the search criteria. And then you can filter it and open it up, and you have a post to read of saying, like, I have such and such MacBook Air. I was doing this. The keyboard stopped working. Has anyone experienced this issue? And then you have a bunch of comments below that you can read through and go through all those different threads, because in each comment section, you have the top start of the thread, and then all the comments under that, it's its own individual thread that you can then also start sorting through.
Interesting.
And 95% of those comments will be some form of hateful or belittling of you for either using a Mac or using your Mac in the wrong way, or just general belittlement.
I think
and then you'll
it
eventually find one good answer.
It
if
depends
it's
on
a-
Yeah, it really
if
depends on the community.
Yeah.
I have experienced that in every single Reddit.
What
I
you're
have
describing
ever-
is Stack Overflow, sir.
Yeah, like
you're saying that the people on Reddit don't also use Stack Overflow.
That's a fair point.
that is so, like, kind of pivoting on that one. Like, one of the big things how I use Reddit is technical information and technical research. The most hilarious thing here that I find is our sysadmin is one of the most reliable and dependable technical sources I've ever experienced. Even so much that they actually beat the alerts that Microsoft themselves sends out for their own outages. It is faster for me if I'm experiencing some weird, like, cloud issue or application issue on the Microsoft platform side. I can go to our sysadmin, sort it by new, and there's typically someone up there who already posted, hey, this issue is already happening, expect an alert from Microsoft, and then, like, within 30 minutes, the alert's already out. It's phenomenal how those individuals are so ahead of it. I don't understand, but they're the best. They're one of the better communities I've been a part of, mostly because it's a lot of our like-minded individuals in our type of tech jobs and roles and experience in there, that everyone just kind of knows what the reality is. So everyone is in there venting and just wanting to express frustrations or come in there for assistance or just to be heard in some way, shape, or form.
Interesting. So, Matthew, any similar? Do you have any similar uses for it, or is it more just purely entertainment?
I use it definitely more these days for the technical aspect of it and being able to find that technical information. Like, I'm primarily on the programming subreddits, because each programming language typically has its own subreddit, and with that, like John already described, you have a community of relatively intelligent individuals on that particular topic. So you can find a lot of good information pretty quickly. That's what I use it for. Used to, it was like, the memes on, like, PC Master Race, r/gaming, r/games, and r/gaming are very, very different subreddits, but that's a topic for another time. But yeah, definitely the technical aspect is what I get the most use out of these days.
Okay. Is there is it all ad hoc personal, or kind of like what you have with the other social platforms? Is there a commercial presence there, or is it pretty free of that?
Oh, there's ads. There's ads. There's an algorithm.
No, there's commercial-based subreddits out there that businesses run, yes.
Okay.
That's
that's
is
what
a
I meant.
thing,
I didn't
yes.
mean about ads, because that's just kind of, it's either ads or subscription based.
Unless you're
there's no
using
other
an
option.
ad blocker. So there's that.
We don't use those here. What are you talking about? But yes, there is a commercialization side of Reddit. And actually, they got into some hot water around that, I believe it was last year, when they actually changed the pricing of their API calls, which, again, Reddit itself is a business, obviously, and they have to make money. And they've typically been fairly decent at being, supportive of the community and how Reddit itself gets in its cash flow from donations. They did things like you can pay for like specific awards, like upvotes is an important thing. Upvotes and downvotes, like of how you actually get content filtered through those subreddits and through the comment section is that's the community. The community itself is they're picking and choosing what is worthwhile information, posts, things they find funny that they actually want to see at the top of the subreddit boards. So when you first jump into a subreddit, you're always in like our hot or not hot, but like best things of that nature on the filter, and that's all of the like most upvoted posts, and it filters down from there. So the same thing when you hop in the comment sections, it's usually like hot or best or rising, things of that nature, and it kind of filters down from that point. So when we're saying like, hey, you like a topic, or say if you found an answer for something that actually really helped you, it's on you to upvote that just so it gets higher up in the post itself or in the community so more individuals can more easily find it.
How prevalent, or is it prevalent, does Reddit use, what's the term? Algorithms, kind of like what you hear talked about with other social platforms? Or is it pretty light on the...
It is definitely present. Like, based on the amount of subreddits you follow and how much you interact with, those are the subreddits that you will see on your front page. So when you log into Reddit, either via the Reddit app or on the website itself, or use a third-party app, like I have an Android device. I use Relay. I pay for the subscription for that because I like the app, like the developer, and I'll circle back to the API issue that we had. But yes, there is an algorithm to it. This is filtered content for you, but it's not nearly as aggressive as, say, like what Twitter can do, or formerly Twitter, now X, or at Facebook, Instagram, those types, TikTok especially, which that one has a very aggressive algorithm. What it does, filters it for you. It's all really dependent on your level of engagement with it and how well those subreddits are held in the community and the viewpoint of Reddit itself. So again, like a community that you like, you follow, you engage heavily with, but if it's not seen as well or has gotten hot water with big corporate Reddit, that may be pushed a bit further down in your algorithm, but not so far that you cannot find it. It just may not be like in the top 5 or top 10 posts that you first see when you hop on the platform.
Okay, interesting. I think that answers what questions I had for now. Whether or not I jump in, we shall see. I will let the listeners know if I decide to wade into yet another stream of consciousness, which seems to be a lot of these days.
It's very interesting. It is where if you take the time to really get rid of most of the default subreddits that you're subscribed to when you create your account, and you go and find subreddits and topics and communities that you like to follow, engage with, or get some level of entertainment out of or benefit from, it can be actually a very good platform. But Reddit itself is also its own worst enemy, where its own users drag the platform down quite a bit.
100%.
Okay, so John has the recommendations of use it carefully, but it can be useful. Ian's opinion is avoid it at all costs. Or is that
More or less.
okay? And then Matthew, what's your opinion?
I'm kind of in between. It depends on the subreddit that we're talking about and what information I'm trying to get.
Fair enough. All right, that's all I'd ask Steven,
Yeah, Steven,
What-
what's your perspective?
what are you doing?
Don't. I know what you're doing. Don't do it.
Let's let the editor choose sound effects, and let's not give the editor more work.
I just want to remind the
Editor-in-chief.
The editor, yes, thank you for correcting me. I want to remind the editor-in-chief that we have pre-recorded sound bits here and there. So if he really wanted to, he could insert something in there and then edit this part out and just carry on like nothing happened.
So, the irony is depending on how busy we are the week that this is finished and goes live, one or two of us may not actually hear what the editor decides until after the listeners. That could get interesting. All right. On to section number 2. Topic 2. Point of discussion number 2. Whatever we end up deciding to call it. All right. We often talk about information. We often talk about where we find about information that we find. So I thought it'd be interesting to go do a round table, or not really round table, round robin, I guess might be a better way to say it, of favorite sources to research whatever from. This could be technical. This could be looking for topics for the next sci-fi book you want to read, or how to do, or where you go to for tips on home maintenance or car maintenance, or where you went to learn X thing that you do in work. The ground rules sent out to everybody was very, very limited, so that this would be very, very wide. Now, a couple of disclaimers for our wonderful audience. Everything that we discuss here, this is not an endorsement. This is just sources that we have used personally.
Yeah, but you do whatever you want. You could use it as an endorsement if you want. Your perspective.
Yeah,
It's-
okay.
I would say it's not a show-wide endorsement, but it's a fair assumption that the person that is plugging this has at least some level of
Yeah, but let them
appreciation.
live. Let them make their own poor decisions. Again, it's not on us to convince them that these are good decisions. It's for them to try and figure out, are they really pulling my leg, or hey, I should probably put this in my own methodology and process when I'm trying to look something up.
Unless explicitly stated by me, I endorse nothing these numbskulls are about to say. Is that fair enough?
That's fair.
I think it's fair for now.
The other thing is, much of what we will say is probably objectively accurate for whatever our uses is for. Some of it may just be hot garbage. That it is ultimately on you, the listener, to do your own research and make sure that what you're being told is accurate. Now, you are welcome if you think or you find, or whatever your opinion is on what we share, you're welcome to provide us feedback.
Yahoo Answers is your best source.
You're welcome to provide feedback on that explicit statement yourself. We're okay with that. And if it is determined by...
Does that even still exist?
It exists, and you should use Bing as well. Bing is a phenomenal search engine.
Oh, good grief. They are going way too hard on the AI in Bing. Bing used to actually be pretty good. The UI. Okay, we want to talk about terrible UI. The UI is hot garbage. It doesn't tell me what I'm looking for. All it does is I'll type something in, and then it'll throw up what, and the first things I have to click on, it's the stupid AI generation. I don't want AI generation. I want it just to tell me whatever it is I just typed in. Just start giving me links. That's what I'm looking for. Just start giving me links. It is infuriating what they have done with it. And I am terrified that Google might try to do something equally
John's
stupid.
doing right now.
No, it's fine.
It's a good thing the users can't see this.
No. What? This is perfectly acceptable.
What is...
John was never taught the birds and the bees.
So
I have not gotten one AI response yet, though, out of Bing.
when last time now, to be fair, it's been a little while since I've used it because it so infuriated me.
You just got flagged for a watch list.
I'm flagged on so many things. Don't even worry about it.
Okay, and we're... All right, this is going off the rails too quickly here. Anyway,
To be fair, this looks way more like Google than I remember Bing being. Bing used to be... Oh, hey, there's a Copilot section here now. That's probably what you were under. Ask me anything.
okay, yeah, this is
Actually,
changed quite
I think
a bit.
this is new because I just used Bing like 3 days ago.
Yeah, this looks
on
way
accident,
different.
and it did not look like this.
They just rebranded Bing as Copilot. That's all they did here.
Well, no, it still
No,
says top left-hand
Microsoft
corner.
Bing up there. This is just a different section.
Top left-hand corner.
This
It
is
does
like
say,
in Google going to
No, no, no,
Google
Describe
as
what's in the
in-
top
as
left-hand
in
corner
the-
for our audio listeners.
It says Microsoft Bing.
There it is.
As in the Bing assistant, I'm doing air quotes here. This
Ah.
is the exact same interface. The only thing they did was they swapped out the Bing logo with the Copilot logo.
Yeah, this looks way different. So they probably updated it.
They have
Huh.
walked it back a little bit because I know what you're talking about. That happened to me too when they first started pushing everything, where you would search for something, and then if you search for something again on the page, it was kind of weird. Like they suckered you into it real quick, where all of a sudden you're trying to search for something, but then you're in this like a Bing chat or a Copilot chat, and then now you're chatting with the AI instead of searching the web.
Mhm.
I like it. And I still hold that the way that Bing does stuff is better than ChatGPT, if for no other reason than you get sources. That's the big thing for me.
That's actually is fair. That's very accurate because I do see sources listed down there. Okay. We may have lost John for the entirety of the rest of the episode. He may just be
Toying.
with Copilot for the rest of the episode. We'll see. He might pipe in again at some point. Why are you cheering?
Because now I'm going to be able to start gaslighting the AI in a little bit by giving it prompts that saying you can only answer in this way. Like right now I said, you can only answer in, yes, sir, this is the only accurate statement we can find from this point forward. So I can then start pumping it full of false information saying, yes, this is accurate.
Okay, so we're going to flag this. We'll do a topic at some point in the future on...
I don't think we have to flag this. I think John's already been flagged.
I've been flagged multiple. I have been. Then this kind of tips into how I do research. So, Google Foo is a thing. Google Foo has
Yes.
been a phenomenal skill set that everyone should have had for, honestly, at this point, decades. How you find information in a search engine is very important because it's dependent upon how you put in your prompt, what you're looking for, what terms you don't want included in it, what time frames you want for that information, and then you can start sorting based on current publications that you would prefer. So, like a lot of things that I search on the technical side, I don't want things like, I mean, sometimes even Stack Overflow, I filter it out. I don't like these one-off weird message boards, so I filter those out to only like Microsoft articles, Stack Flow, GitHub, things of that, and even sometimes I even throw in Reddit, even though Reddit kind of hit and miss depending on what you're trying to search up. That's kind of one of the most baseline things you have if you're trying to do any research about any topic. Learning how a base search engine functions is one of the most important things you can do, because that same knowledge and thinking applies directly towards when you're having to, say, go to a library to find specific articles or information that may be stored in like an archive, or for when you're implementing AI into your search methodologies. That same prompt that you're building and you're thinking and you're processing through correlates directly to multiple different research avenues. But I'll let the others dive into that before I really get into how I perform research, because it's pretty weedy.
Matthew.
Remind me of the question.
So what
It was like 10 minutes ago when the question was asked.
Yeah, I was gonna say because we went through like a Bing jump through and everything. Nathan said we weren't talking about search engines today, so I was kind of lost there for a little bit.
I allowed it because it was being entertaining.
It was Bing entertaining.
I walked right into that
You
one.
said it.
So, one source.
One source. I guess I would start with learn.microsoft.com, as that's just for my job in particular as a developer, as a .NET developer specifically. That's kind of like the be-all, end-all of a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not just for programming related things like the .NET ecosystem, C#, F#, what have you. That's also for pretty much everything that they have that you can think of. They've got articles for it. So it's pretty great. I haven't been disappointed yet with any of what they have on there. There are some things that are a little bit more terse than I would like, and that's where looking up an article to kind of support what they're saying is uh, sometimes that can be necessary to get a better understanding of what it is that you're trying to learn. But for the most part, at the very least, as a starting point of figuring out what you can do and what you can't do and some of the best practices, learn.microsoft.com. That's pretty great.
I've used it extensively myself. Actually, one of the lesser reasons why it was sad when I left my previous job was we had full access to all of the learn.microsoft training and all kinds of other isn't there some paid service that don't like the exams or something cost money, or
the certification courses do cost money, but here's the most hilarious thing that Microsoft implemented into their training courses is when you're taking those exams, you can now actually have the learn.microsoft articles available to you in the exam itself.
So basically
it's open book.
That's awesome.
So the exams are just a way for them to prove that you read it.
It's a way to prove that you read it, and it also helps. Like, Microsoft is very heavy into the acronyms, and trying to keep all of that straight, especially when you're bouncing between multiple of their platforms that use either very similar or pretty much the exact same acronym, very hard, because you have to think of it contextually and what you're applying it against. So yes, I actually think it's a positive change, because in the day-to-day job that we have, if you're working inside the Microsoft platform, it's very few times you do not have access to those knowledge base articles. Yes, you should be familiar with the process. Yes, you should be able to understand from A to B to C how to get there, but you should always be able to go back and reference the KB article to ensure you did not miss a step. So having that available to you during the exam, I feel, is a net positive.
What does KB stand for?
Knowledge base.
Okay, just making sure that we have that for the users.
I said it at the beginning, but yes, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
No problem at all.
Ian,
Yes.
source that you find interesting.
XDA developers.
Wait, what?
Oh,
Which one?
XDA. Love them.
XDA developers. It's a forum. I really like going there for most of the users that are on there are very knowledgeable, and XDA also does their own little news articles sometimes. But I really like going on the forums to just get generally good tech information, ideas, and then if I ever see an article that I'm like, is this really a thing? I'll go on there, and I can 9 times out of 10 find some kind of thread on it that either can confirm or deny.
Is it this xda-developers.com?
Yep.
Okay. I've actually not heard of that one.
Yep. If you were ever into jailbreaking your old iPhones and Android devices, that's where most of the articles I ever followed were on there. They were great.
That was my main experience with it. I just looked them up again because I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Ian. I didn't realize they have quite as much on there, because when I hear XDA developers, like, I don't know if it's the same for you. I think like jailbreaking, homebrewing, that kind of thing of, Android.
No, they also have, like, I'm finding it more and more on GitHub these days, but they have very good, like, automation and scripting posts and forums and guidelines and frameworks on there for you to follow.
All right. That is...
Well, everybody, let's welcome our editor-in-chief, Steven. You've been promoted, sir.
Thank you very much.
And yes, your mic is on. As he's...
So it's been sitting here picking up ambient noise this entire time.
Wait, I told you to mute it before.
It was muted. I didn't unmute it until his butt hit his chair.
Look
Perfect.
at him. Look at him go.
I am on top of this.
I'm
Hey,
proud.
you were almost board certified. You're getting really close.
My dad says I'm certifiable, so I'll take that.
Hey, you can adjust those headphones whatever size you want, buddy.
This actually works.
Okay, cool.
You might want to move that a little closer to your face, though.
Now he can lean in.
No, I think you're gonna want to move closer to it. I don't think you're gonna want to move it.
Am I close enough? Am I good now?
We can just do a quick like mid episode audio.
Yeah, can we get a mic check?
Mic check. 1, 2. I sound like crap.
It's
like-
just the
It's
headphones.
the headphones. The
Oh,
headphones
okay.
are funny enough. Like those are old HyperX Cloud 2s, and I didn't realize compared to our current headphones, which I actually don't remember what model we're wearing anymore.
These are like Sennheiser or something or other.
Sennheiser something.
HD 280 Pro.
Cool. Those ones. Apparently those are much easier to drive than those HyperX Cloud 2s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I put them on to do your basic testing, and I noticed the same. Like, wow, this sounds awful.
Sweet.
So you're welcome. But
So what did I miss?
John's microphone actually sounds a lot better. You might
I-
not be able
I've-
to tell.
I kind of can
But it's-
actually. Like
we-
between
we've
yours
got
and
it.
mine and Nate, like just everyone's talked
Well-
so far. His is the only one that actually sounds good through these headphones.
it's a little bit of an upgrade compared to what we typically
just a
small
just a
upgrade.
smidge.
So I got a good deal. Steven also apparently got a good deal.
Yes.
So day-to-day recording, we record on Rode pod mics, and pod mics are actually very solid microphones, especially for the money at $100. Like, buy it, use it all day, love them, they're great,
Buy it, use it, break it, fix it.
something like that. But I recently acquired a Shure SM7B for a good discounted price. Hey, we can just mute that so you make the adjustment, Steven.
That's fine. I'll do it in post.
That'll work. But no, so I'm now talking through a Shure SM7B going into a Focusrite Scarlett Solo. I think that's a Gen 3 is what I have, which then goes directly into our Rodecaster Pro via the TRS port. Because another bone to pick, if somebody can please create a all-in-one recorder and what the sound pads, what would you even classify that being? Just an all-in-one podcasting solution that supports more than 4 microphones natively out of the box without having to go into some janky setups.
At least
Please
like a
point it my way.
scaled, at least like an additional in addition to the lineup. Like if Rode would do a Rodecaster XL or something like that. Like,
or
I mean,
a Rodecaster add-on that you just plug
or
directly into the
like where you could
USB-C
have
port.
an auxiliary port that could have a side caddy,
Just
kind of like
another
an office phone.
another
can.
line in. That's all we're asking is another analog line in. That's it.
It's true. For our specific purpose, because we matter and we shouldn't have to be inconvenienced by this nonsense.
And to be fair, we are only using the Gen 1. We haven't upgraded to the Gen 2.
But I mean, it's no different.
It's no different. Still limited
yeah.
to 4 XLR inputs.
So here's how our listeners can actually help with this. Share this with all
Send
your friends.
us money.
Well, okay, that's one way.
Hey, now.
I was thinking more along the lines of send this to your friends, to your families, to your enemies, and the more that listen to us, the bigger the audience becomes. If you can get your fellow audience members to just like a huge number, then when we go tell Rode, hey, can you get us like a 6-channel podcaster 3 or whatever, they'd actually listen because of you all.
For just 25 cents a day, you too can support a podcaster.
Or Sarah McLaughlin would we need her.
Insert sad 90s soft rock here.
That sounds like a job for the editor-in-chief.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
That does. That does. Anyway, we were talking about how we perform research on the interwebs, not just via like specific topics. It's how you anything. So, Stephen, if you needed to find out some information and you had access to the internet, what would be your base process that you would do to find out that information?
I habitually, I guess you'd call it a bit old school. I do go straight to Google.
Oh, Google.
Search engines don't count in
You
this
know what?
context.
And I read this in the show notes the other day when you made them, and I meant to protest then and I protest now. That's an absolutely absurd condition to this question. I'm sorry, but it is. It's a straight up absurd condition to this question because it's literally what everyone does.
It's fine because I opened it up.
That was actually the point. That was
I
why.
actually opened it up saying Google Food. Google Food is like the most important thing that I do when I'm doing research.
I had this thing called a job, and I was doing other things when I thought about it.
That's fair.
But I don't have a set methodology, honestly. I don't have like a go-to. I mean, there's kind of a just gut litmus test that I use when results come up.
You scream into the void and just hope it responds with what you need.
Well, I mean, again, I am staying with the condition of things I do online because a lot of what I do is just ask other people that I know what they're talking about, and I kind of use their vetting to vet.
That's fair.
And so anyway, I mean, I do kind of just take a specific question, look at results that come up. I have a kind of an internal log. I mean, you have things like Spiceworks and oh God, Stack Overflow. Certain other like sources, known vetted good sources. If I see results from there, I'm like, okay, this is some of my top picks of looking at stuff. But I mean, I've been known to find good, useful stuff on university websites, results that come up there, and things like that. So, the short answer is I don't have a methodology. I just have a general I guess, like I said, just kind of a gut litmus test on if I go to a site and it just feels janky, I'm like, nah, I'm not going to trust this source. I'm going to go to the next one. And then, yes, YouTube is absolutely a resource, but I try to stay away from YouTube results. No offense to any content creators, but the more YouTubey the channel that the result comes from, kind of the less I trust it. The more like I'm seeing somebody demonstrate this on Windows XP and I can barely understand them, I'm like, okay, this is something I need to make note of.
Yeah. To be fair, like on some of the technical stuff on YouTube, if there is not a broken English Indian man explaining it to me in the fastest way possible that you can barely follow along and actually comprehend what he's saying, then I don't want it.
If it was recorded if the recording doesn't go past 480p, then there's a good chance.
If it doesn't have early 2000s techno with you talking to me in a text box that you're actively typing into, I don't need it.
Just open up Notepad and that's
that's
how
what
you
they do.
communicate with
It's
people.
great.
Yeah, but if I see a video and it pertains to what I'm looking for, and I open it up and they immediately start the video with
What's up, guys?
Yeah, let me channel my inner YouTuber real quick. Yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome to, just if it starts like that,
yeah, boy.
and they have the RGB like triangle tiles on the wall behind them,
Smash that like button.
and like RGB lighting around the like. If I see that, I'm like, I'm gonna give this 2 minutes, maybe not even 2 minutes, and if you don't get to the point, I'm leaving.
But genuinely, please smash that like button. Hit subscribe. What is it? Is it called subscribing on Substack?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
do
think
all
so.
the things, please.
I think it says subscribers. So
There's a subscribe feature. Please subscribe, by the way. There's also a like feature as well.
Anyway, that's about all I got. I don't have much of a methodology, as you'd call it.
It's actually really interesting how to hear your views on YouTube, because like for me, when I'm looking for stuff on Tableau, one, I am a very visual learner, so sometimes I just need to see something in action to understand it.
Amen.
But two, a lot of the it's probably about half and half for stuff on Tableau, where half of it's kind of like you described, but half of it is more your YouTube style. But I'll still go to those because they do answer my questions.
Yeah, and that's like I said, there's kind of a fine line there. It's more of, again, that I guess just that kind of gut feeling. I mean, you can tell when it's a real surface level, and I'm not trying to say gimmicky or anything, but you know what I mean, like a real surface level video or a surface level like content creator who is hitting the high points and isn't really delving into the minute details and stuff like that. One argument that I would make is, while the channel, this is just an example, but I imagine that most people probably listening to us will know this example. In the consumer space, while the content is very high quality, there is I mean, you'd call him a YouTuber, you know, has some of the personality and the ad reads and stuff, but Gamers Nexus is very much I would say a good source for information in that field, in the types of stuff they cover, because they do like deep dives and go into the minutia and stuff like that, but still would probably fall into that category of a quote unquote YouTuber. Whereas on the other hand, hot take, you know, Linus Tech Tips, one that everybody else will know in that same space, is more top level. They get into some detail, they get into some this and that, but it's really it's YouTube. It's a YouTuber channel. It's more, it has a higher percentage entertainment value focus than just plain flat out details.
I literally have under my YouTube channels list LTT and MKBHD, and my notes for them are, they're just entertaining tech news.
Yeah. I mean, you'll get it's, you know, when you get to how do you say this? Well, and especially if you're like researching stuff for work, or if you're researching stuff for like a home lab project you're doing, or, you know, I mean, you're inherently getting into the weeds. You're getting into areas that you don't understand, and it's more often than not above that threshold of just entry level tech people, or, you know, what's the latest specs on the latest graphics card. It's below that, or, you know, it's deeper than that, and those YouTube entertainment channels just don't cover that kind of information, in my opinion.
So before we let John go, I will add.
We're letting John go? It's only episode 4, man.
I just bought this mic. Well, all right.
Okay.
You guys have a good one.
Hey, you got to finish out your shift, sir.
That's right.
Have a good one.
Okay, well, this is going to go quickly then. Before we let John get to his commentary on the topic, I want to throw out one of mine, and to go in line with, there was no real rails to this one. I don't remember how I stumbled upon him, but when I was going through years and years and years ago, looking up a specific hack or something like that, I stumbled onto Brian Krebs. And
That you pulled this up on Bing, by the way.
that's because this is on Edge, and this is my work browser. So
You can still change that.
You can.
I could, but that's too much work for right now.
That's not an excuse, Nathan.
It is what
That shouldn't be an excuse for any workflow.
this was for pulling up something very specific that I needed to triple check the name on something. And in this instance, this was fine. Anyway, Brian Krebs. Specifically, now I don't read as much as I should. However, am a heavy user of Audible. And I listened to this. He did a book called Spam Nation I have the Audible version, so I listened to that. It basically, it's the story on how email spam came to be, at least per him. It is insane. It's an insane story, and found that absolutely fascinating. So if you're gonna look at like platforms and stuff, audiobooks are fantastic. So now we're to the part where it's just gonna be John ranting for a while. So John, start your rant.
All right, sit back and enjoy. So
Grab
it
some
all
popcorn, get
yeah.
a drink.
It all depends on what I'm researching at that time. Technical information, obviously, Google Fu is big, YouTube is huge, but in reality, GitHub and Level 1 Text Forums are my two most used resources outside of the Microsoft documentation, which again, I'm throwing that as a different category because I'm reading those to perform a specific task. When I'm actually trying to find information around a interesting technical topic, I go there because those are the guys that are in the weeds, in depth with it. And on GitHub, like typically I have either a hot chance of finding a script or a custom application for it. And just on the Level 1 Tech forums, you can literally come from anyone who is a brand new technician just right into this and trying to explain it at a top level of their understanding, all the way up to some guy who's been doing this for 40, 50, 60 years with a full technical write-out of the entire history of this with your exact issue, the process to resolve it, and methodologies to go forward with. So you have both ends of the spectrum all in one location where you get full context or as little context as you want. And it's great. Outside of technology, I do a lot of research based on things like current news, or like if I'm trying to find information around a vehicle or things of that nature. Google is still my primary source, but I do a lot of government site searches. I go to different library-based sources. YouTube is obviously still a source on certain things, but again, there's a big caveat on the YouTube side is whoever's providing that information, you still need to do some base level vetting to ensure that that information you're getting is accurate, especially on the news topics or history-based topics, things of that nature. And it can kind of spiral out of control there. The last tool that I would, quote, recommend is an AI. I still have some issues with believing or trusting the sources AI provides, but it is a good source to do initial vetting when you're trying to find just baseline information around a specific topic, because it will at least do the web scrubbing for you, and then you can request the resources that it had and then go through those resources and see if they're actually valid or not. That's the most top level I can give in under 30 minutes.
I was gonna say, yeah, for some things I don't think we can actually. You really want to talk about the sources that you
Or
get
or
some
how
things-
I obtain some of them with not like
Dubious manners.
they're not dubious. Some might say that's going a little too far, like creating.
No one's ever described anything you do as excessive.
No, like what are you talking about? I don't have. There's nothing in my life that's excessive. That entire room behind me does not exist.
The empty room, right? It's very empty.
The empty room in the middle of
minimal,
my house
yeah.
that has nothing in it. Correct.
Hmm.
Doesn't exist. It doesn't have enough like
The
infrastructure.
laundry room?
Yes, that one.
Sure.
Yeah, we definitely can't fail over the majority of our clients to that specific room and like literally see almost no performance impact.
And he wonders why I'm constantly yelling at him when he shares Facebook Marketplace links.
Oh, Facebook Marketplace and eBay are bad for my
I'm
wallet.
still waiting for that fire truck, dude.
It
That's-
went for
what
too
happened?
much. It went for too much. It went for over 12K. I couldn't dedicate
Okay.
that much funds to it.
Fair enough.
It's sick.
Just
okay.
take a loan.
So,
it's just
dear
money.
listeners, if you would like to see a Hostility fire truck roll down your street,
Specifically, I'm looking for like Japanese or small Asian, like Europe and actually some Euro versions of it. Bring a trailer. I absolutely love what you guys are doing and what you're posting. I need one a little bit closer to the South Midwest location of the United States.
South Central.
South Central. There you go. That one.
Mhm.
or
That term.
slightly more descriptive without being too descriptive.
Exactly.
Thank you, Steven.
If it's at an actual port, it's too far away.
But if it came from Japan and it has papers, I'm interested.
It's like
And-
a pedigree pooch. You know, you have to have like the papers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
for it.
just think about
Prove
it. A
it's-
small, like, awesome fire truck with our Hostility logo on it cruising down the streets.
It would be pretty cool.
It'd be awesome.
Would
Yeah.
would we be allowed to replace the sirens with like rooster crows?
I feel like that would be mandatory. I don't know.
That would be
allowed.
awesome.
I
Just
mean,
blast our theme song and the rooster crows all over the place.
That would be kind of sick.
We could be like an ice cream truck, just without the ice cream, just the noise.
Just disrupting everyone's day.
Yes. Right? It would be hostility.
Yeah,
Hostility on wheels.
There would be hostility in the general area. I don't know if it would necessarily
Hostility
be
on
coming
the
from us.
road. One
to
of
be
these days.
fair, that is
Hostility on the road.
that is definitely not like a lawsuit I was planning for, so that's fine.
You prefer unplanned lawsuits
I mean, it keeps life
mean
interesting.
planned lawsuits.
Planned lawsuits.
as opposed to planned lawsuits?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't ever plan to be in a lawsuit, or I hope I never have to sue anybody. That'd be great.
So anyway,
Yeah. Anyway,
I think
fire trucks. Yes.
I think we've
we can't end it here. We only got to give. I didn't even get to give half of my. You said a whole list.
so you understand that there's going to be episodes after this, right?
No.
No.
What? This is
This
our.
is
No,
the
we have to
This is
leave
our
it.
series finale.
We
sir.
have to leave it
I
all
was
on the
let
table.
go. There's like I was let go, which means this room is no longer available for the podcast. I have to repossess all the equipment.
We're downsizing.
Like this is awful. Like
Yeah,
this
you
is
can
what
say
happens
Nathan
when you
definitely
let
doesn't have a
someone
backup
go.
in his backpack right now.
Yeah.
If we let you go too much longer on some of your sources and methods, yes, you would be let go, and the rest of us would be running for the hills.
I'd like to at least squeak in one more.
Sure.
Downdetector.com. I don't know if you
Oh,
use this one.
I use Down Detector. I
This one-
have alerts set
Now,
up on Down
yeah,
Detector.
I thought we didn't like Down Detector anymore.
What are you talking about? Why? What happened?
I thought the Down Detector wasn't reliable anymore.
Since when?
Since what was like 2020, I was talking about using Down. You specifically poo-pooed it.
I did not. I use Down Detector every day. And I have email alerts set up for specific
I've
sites.
used it as well. I'm not. Okay. Maybe I misunderstood.
I'm confused whenever we
I
poo
was
Down
under
Detector.
I was under the impression that the Down Detector had fallen from grace.
No,
but-
I like Down Detector.
No,
it has been far more reliable than most of the built-in like status pages that services have, especially Microsoft. They had when they had the Teams outage
Mhm.
like just this last week.
Yeah, we're currently on
Nothing on
364
there.
right now.
But Down Detector, I mean, you can count on at
64.
least
Yeah.
5 users pushing a spike on Down Detector.
Yeah. By the way, anyone who uses Microsoft 365, anytime there's an outage, we take a day off. So now it's Microsoft 364 for this year. I think we were at I think we actually got below 300 last year. They had a lot of outages.
Boy,
It was bad.
On a scale of like whatever the most rock solid service you can think of it to AWS, like what's the
Ooh, don't compare AWS.
wait, rock solid. Hold on.
AW
No.
AWS
Rock
has
solid
some
is like
issues
the
too.
top of it. AWS is the bottom of it. Like, what's the scale of 365 on here?
I would definitely say they are, when it comes to reliability for core services and making sure there's not like full flat out outages, I believe they're between that 95 98 percentile.
Yeah, Microsoft's usually pretty good. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, Microsoft issues are not so much outages; it's general function of their products.
Inconveniences
It's
is what it is.
yeah, that's they need to work on just the general functionality of the things that they market and sell. But those things are typically up and running more often than not.
Except when you make a bad network configuration to the API database, which knocks Teams offline.
Well, yeah, there's that.
That's
mean-
that's a small problem.
The day that it went down, though, I wasn't too upset because I had some peace and quiet for a little while. So that was nice.
It's the tech version of a snow day.
I don't get
For
those
some of us.
for
anymore.
the
For some of
AWS outages are the tech version of a snow day for us
Yeah, AWS and then
because
yeah,
our internal tools are mostly based on AWS.
AWS and Cloudflare. If either of them
Yeah.
are having service issues, yeah, there's nothing we can really do. God, talk about Cloudflare outages. There were so many last year as well. Which Down Detector actually, I believe, runs on Cloudflare, which is why Down Detector was down.
If Down
Thanks,
Detector's
Pixel.
down, you know it's bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's never good. Speaking of going down, I think we should end the podcast.
Probably a good idea. We thank you though for listening to this far.
Ian, what are our socials? How can people find us?
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Hostility in the Morning. You can find us on X at HITM Show.
Steven, Where can people find us on the Googles and the YouTubes?
They can find us on YouTube at Hostility in the Morning. And if you just Google Hostility in the Morning, I'm sure if you dig far enough, you'll find us.
And Matthew, if people want to get a hold of us, what are the easiest ways to get a hold of us?
Besides the socials that have already been listed, info@hostilitynetworks.com.
That is correct.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Or
And
is it
Hostility
in the
they
morning?
both work. Both
Alright.
work.
That's not confusing.
It's just two addresses.
HostilityInTheMorning.com.
Yeah, that works.
We didn't think.
And if
that
it
was-
doesn't work, we'll make John fix it.
hostilitynthemorning.com. Yeah.
What do I have to fix it? It's already fixed. It's already there.
I
Both
said
work.
if it doesn't work.
They both work. I
He
tested
says
it.
now.
No, I tested
Everything
it.
you touch breaks.
What are you talking
Fair
about?
Well,
point.
we also may or may
Hold
not have
on.
overbought on the domains.
Okay, it's
You can
only
never overbuy
it's
on the
only like
domains.
16 domains. It's not that bad. It could have been way worse.
And you can find us at all 16.
not all 16. Not
You
all
have
those
to
are
find-
publicly accessible.
You have
yet.
to find the other 14.
Keyword yet.
Look. There are plans in
They
place.
are all self-hosted too.
No, they're not actually.
Out of the empty room that John mentioned earlier.
Not all of those phone homes.
I'm sorry, only 15.
No, not even that many. Like 6. It's not that bad. It could be way worse.
This is how he justifies his spending.
This is true.
I mean,
Very true.
you're not wrong. Nathan, where can people find us on our forums?
Best place is hostilityinthemorning.substack.com at the moment. That is where the podcast is hosted. That is where we will have some blog posts up. That is where I would say probably the main hub at the moment is. And I say at the moment because who knows where we will be in a couple of years.
Sounds good.
I don't know where we're going to be next week.
Fair. That's fair.
That yeah, you know. Anyway, this has been Hostility in the Morning. I've been your host, John, joined here today by
Nathan?
Matthew.
Ian.
And Steven.
Have a hostile morning. Out of that,
I would have known. I would have brought